By utilizing what you have come to know in sacred ceremony and sacred work, utilizing that in your everyday life, this is merging the non-ordinary into the ordinary. It takes the lower self out of being the primary source of engagement and sets it aside so that you can see more clearly. Breath work is done by many, many modalities and many paths, but it is a very important, essential thing to do. Because just simply by working with your breath, whatever is in you, getting heavy, getting dense, and weighing you down, and catching into all of those lower self stories by using the breath to blow it out, your whole lower self lightens, and it gets it out of its own way. Liken it to the wind coming along and blowing something aside. And then the path is clear again. Being clear, centered, and grounded keeps you from being knocked about by the winds of life. As we all know, they can be quite chaotic at times. And now that the holiday seasons are here and people running around crazy like, having to buy the thing, or life will fall apart if they don't get that thing, and spending a whole lot more money than really is necessary, but just because they feel they have to because it assuages some lower self story. And to couple that with the emotional burdens that people carry about ones who have passed perhaps, or things that are not now that once had been, sourcing through the past, to liken to Charles Dickens' story, A Christmas Carol, holding on to that ghost of the Christmas past rather than the ghost of the Christmas present. Then it is the one who comes for the future. Well, it's up to you to know then who will come. It doesn't have to be the one that was in that story. And this is not, when I speak of these things, I'm not speaking only of Christian religions. I'm speaking of all religions, all paths of spirituality, rather going beyond that. The way I have come to know is that spirituality is the foundation of all religions, and that religions are the houses that have been built upon that foundation. When one feels naturally drawn to one of those houses, then that is where he or she will be. But you see, they all are on the foundation of spirituality. They are all of the light, not one more than the other. It is just simply knowing where it is that you are to be. And that does not have to be a conventional religion at all. It could be a path of spirituality that does not follow a conventional religion. But it does follow that of spirit, of the light. And that is what is essential. To follow any path because other people in your family have always done that doesn't necessarily make it your path. And to gracefully detach from that with great thanks because it did teach you so very, very much is the way to go about that. And to do it gracefully, without anything adversarial. Just simply, I see this now. I know this is not my path. I know it is not the one that spirit within me is called to or is of about. And so it is time for me to give thanks to that path, that religion, and move into where I know it is my house. And in that way, you are following what you know to be, because it not only serves you, but it serves all, because now you are walking clearly, cleanly, without attachment, without any kind of anything to get in your way. This is very important now. So I encourage you during this path of light, religions that are not your own, spiritual paths of light that are not your own, if they're having ceremony or they're having a service or they're having some gathering in their place, go to it. Enjoy it. You might be very surprised how welcome you are and how very, very much at home you feel. And you see, in this way, folks, what we're doing is we are weaving that canopy of light that we spoke of last week and worked with. In that canopy of light, this strengthens it, because it is a canopy of all infinite color, I should say. There is not just one. So by you going to a place that is not known to you or familiar to you, but go with the open heart filled with love and gratitude and joy, and that feeling of Ayu, that feeling of Munai. The non-ordinary is indeed merged into the ordinary. It is a delightful thing to do. I am going to open the phones a moment, because I would encourage every one of you to comment on that and what you have come to know and what you would like to now know to do, that you now know to do, I should say. So you can open the phones for a moment. Tell me when it's so.
It is so.
Okay. So, folks, let's hear your words on what was just said.
Hi. I like the part about, and I find it very helpful when you said to gracefully detach rather than be adversary. I'm saying it wrong.
Yeah.
I find that very helpful, because I'm often in the middle of some controversy, just because I don't see things the same way that that the conventional way is. So I just like the way that you put it, to gracefully detach, and I find that very helpful. So thank you.
Well, that if you remember that we consciously choose our engagements. Mm-hmm. And what that means is that if we have consciously chosen engagement, then we are also consciously choosing how we will be within that engagement. Mm-hmm. Not how the other person will be. That's for that person or people to be as they will. But you, by you knowing your intent and you are clear about it, there need not to be any adversarial engagement, none, because you have consciously chosen how it is that you will be. And in that way, you can consciously choose to gracefully detach.
Yes, very good, rather than feeling I have to convince them and hit them over the head with my point of view, or vice versa.
There's an ancient saying back in the medieval times when everybody carried swords, is that it was said to present the side of your argument, not the point, that being a sword.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, Because energetically, when you are in an adversarial engagement and you keep pushing the point, so that gives the person permission to push the point as well. And everybody gets hurt then.
Well,
we don't have to do that.
That's what we're seeing in Henderson, Missouri. No one's willing to listen to each other's point, okay? They have to prove their point.
Well, this is why we're doing what we're doing, Michael. This is why we must all consciously realize how seriously vital it is that we come together in the one that we are to get things done. That we must actively, physically show up together in somewhere, someplace in sacred ceremony. Because we are working, we are weaving the energetic itself. We are working with that canopy of light. We are actively participating. We can't just talk about it. We can't just sit back and follow our own paths and do our own little weavings here and there. As helpful as that is, it still won't get it done. We have to get together and do this. And that means we have to physically show up together in the places where there are established forms just sitting there waiting for you. Show up.
Well, as a community, I believe we're creating heaven on earth, but that's not an easy task.
But you see, we are raising the heavy, dense, lower forms, the material forms. We're raising that so that we can live in a place of light where everyone has free will. Everyone gets to do whatever he or she wants to do, but we all are of one single intent, and that is of the light. Do no harm. Do no harm. There is an expression in the Wiccan and pagan paths, and I love this: perfect love, perfect trust. And that's what it is. So we all must show up together. We can't say, oh, well, listen, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the this, I don't have the this. Show up anyway. Show up anyway. Anyone else have something that they would like to bring out?
What you had said a little bit ago, and that just sort of, I was thinking about this today, actually, and it was just basically me thinking about the importance of listening to people you may not agree with, and listening to people where you may, and not just looking for people who have the same sort of beliefs and ideas as you, but actually listening to those and learning to understand what you don't agree with and why. And I feel a kind of disconnect there a lot, between, like say with Ferguson, between two different sides that don't really want to listen to each other. They've already polarized into these different beliefs. But, I listen to all sorts of people. A lot of them I agree with a lot of times. Some I don't. But the listening's, it's very important.
Yes, it is. And it is a way to learn another person's language. By listening. Rather than listening to your lower self forming its responses before the person's even done talking.
Right. Well, there's a technique called mirroring, which you feed back in your own words what you just heard from the other person.
That's right. Very much so. It's a very useful tool and has been used quite a bit over the years. So, anyone else would like to bring out something before we get into more?
I've been kind of pushing myself to join in attending things I'm invited to. You know, with the holidays, there's more of that going on, and I tend to want to just stay away from that. But I've been going and with the intent to have a very good time, and that's what I did this weekend, and I felt good about that. So I need to go into more of those situations with that intent, and definitely not let the lower self get caught up, because that happens too when people start talking. Don't let the lower self get in there and start feeling like I'm judging myself for how I respond. So have to practice that more.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Don't practice it, just do it.
Well, it's a remind. Maybe I should say remind myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else?
I do a lot of dream interpretation work, and I always have for a long time used a free association method to translate my dreams, but I have incorporated your suggestion that everything that's happening in the dream is about myself, and it's changing entirely the way that I'm interpreting my dreams.
Yes.
At first it was really hard to do, but now it's becoming easier, and it's really changing the meaning of the dreams for me.
And you're gaining more guidance that way.
Definitely.
Yes, well, very, very good. Well done. Well done. I'm going to ask any of you who have physically come to sacred ceremony, whether it's with us or with others, I'd like you all to talk a little bit about why it is essential, why it is so seriously vital that we all come together in sacred ceremony, especially now in a physical place, in our physical bodies, in physical ceremony, why it's so important. What have you come to know?
I would say because that is really consciously creating what's going on right now, and that's what ceremony is about having a clear, coherent space where people can come together and, create and weave, whatever that it is to be done.
Yes. Yes. Anyone else?
When we come together in as a community and pray, and Spirit is truly listening, it's a very powerful way to bring about healing, especially if many are praying for one person in general, or for, Spirit is really listening at that time, and truly there is evidence of Spirit listening and working miracles, if you will, if that's the right word.
Mm-hmm. It's very true. You see, when we come together with one intent, the sacred ones of light always are listening eternally. Yet when we come together in sacred ceremony, we are the star bridges for the sacred ones of light to actively, that together we are holding hands, if you will, getting things done. I should speak a little here about the energetics. I said before that how dense and heavy things have become. Let me go back to a little metaphysics here. The resonance, if you can mute the phone, Joseph.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
This is the law of resonance, a law of vibration, shall we say. At the higher rate of vibration, that the higher the vibration, the less dense the form that is created from it. So that means to say that as you look around the room where you are right now, you see many material forms. That's because they are vibrating at a very low rate, very low rate. So they have more density, more heaviness. So they create into a form that is more, that can be seen, where in that same room there's air. Can't see the air, but yet it is here because it's vibrating at such a high rate of speed it's not visible to the naked human eye. So if you know that, know then that each and every thought, each and every feeling, each and every action creates form. If it is at the highest, purest, those vibrations will be at such a rate of speed, and those words, rate of speed, really are not accurate, the human language being what it is, we'll use that. The density that comes from those forms is not heavy. It is felt, but it is not heavy. When you feel good, you feel light. You feel, but it's light. When you don't feel so happy about things, you feel heavy. This is what I'm saying to you. This is the energetic creating that which you are bringing forth. Now, that means to say that when you do feel grumpy, feel grumpy. Just don't be toxic about it. Don't take it out on others. Don't take it out on yourself. Don't take it out at all. Just let it flow, and it will dissipate on its own, unless you hold on to it. And that's where the lower self is going to come in and give you so-called justifiable reasons to hold on to it. Well, that wasn't fair. You know, what he said, that wasn't fair. He shouldn't have said that to you. Yeah, right. Well, rather than getting hooked in with the stories and agreeing with that, well, it is what it is. Move on. So consider, in this season of light, and the canopy of light is glowing even more strongly because of those all over this world are coming together in some way, body, spirit, mind, some way coming together with the intent to make merry, regardless of what religion or spiritual path that he or she walks. The intent is that of love, of delight, of joy, of coming together. So knowing that, be aware as the lower self comes in and wants to be that ghost of the past, showing up again and getting you to go down its old paths. Stay present. Yeah, I know that. Recently, I just heard about a book a woman wrote, and I'm thinking that I'd like to get it. and it was called something like this. I lost touch with people I used to be. I love that. Indeed, I have. I've lost touch with many people I used to be, and all lifetimes ago, and all those lifetimes are within this lifetime. So look to yourself. Are you clinging to any of those past peoples? Are you living in a lifetime that no longer exists in this lifetime? Are you living in the present? What do you do when that old shows up and wants to grab onto you? What do you do? Okay. And more so, what do you do to help others when they do that? And the answer with that is quite simple. Whatever the lower self wants to do, know that story. Whatever the higher perceptual primal self guides you to do, that is what you do. So, and in that way, your choice goes well beyond you, the personal, so that whatever you do, that vibration, that resonance is felt well beyond yourself. It spins out to all in the world and beyond. And this is very, very essential that all know this. All know this. So I'm going to ask you to put the phones back on for a moment, and let's hear what you have to say about any of that. Okay?
Yep. There we go.
Okay. Anyone like to say something about that?
Well, I think like you said earlier, it's to be aware of the feelings coming through the lower self, but not to be controlled by them. You know, it's almost like being an observer of the lower self.
Mhm. Mhm. In truth, we do say observe without engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Acknowledgement without engagement.
Well, I tend to be more conservative politically, and most of my friends are pretty liberal. I think that's God's way of keeping me humble. So.
Could be.
So I hear all sorts of varied opinions. You know, the thing is, you can listen to an opinion and not have to change your value system. You know.
Simply know it to be an opinion.
Yes.
That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay. So, yeah. Anyone else like to share something about this?
This is Linda. I find myself now, when I hear the chatter that I know is from my lower self, I'm able to stop it immediately. I just say cut, so I'm not going to accept this. And by doing so, being so conscious of it now, it's happening less and less.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because I'm aware of, what it is. Whereas before, I would continue to engage in it and, and not stop it. But I even been doing it with friends. Like when they start a story and they say things, and I remind them it's power in words. You have to watch what you think and you have to watch what you say. Be mindful of what you're saying and thinking at all times.
Yes. Yes. That's
so I don't allow them to start. I don't allow them when they, and then they'll stop for that moment and then they'll try to start the story up in a different way, and I I shut it down. I said, okay, you're doing the same thing, and I can't engage with you on that. I'm not.
And that is consciously choosing your engagement and gracefully detaching.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And
they haven't been getting, they don't get upset, and they're beginning to see, and at least understand that, what they're doing. And so then they, I was talking with a young man last week, and he was telling me all, the negative things that a new neighbor that moved by him was saying and doing. And, and I had to stop him, and then we were talking about something else. I said, let's change the subject. And he came back again, and I had to remind him. And he was like, at the end of the conversation, he said, I am so grateful and so thankful, for what what you said to me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it is.
Yeah.
And it's good that you said that, Linda, because you are now showing to everybody how it actually is in actual everyday life.
Yeah.
Just simply a change of thought, a change of engagement. But you must be present in order to do that.
Right.
And, folks, it does take some time to be conscious all the time, and it does take vigilance. It does take vigilance at first. Because you see the lower self, the lower self, what we call shadows. Shadows is unfinished business. It's not that it's bad or good, it's just things that got stuffed or buried and haven't been finished, haven't been brought to the light to be completed. So they're still in there, and they're all buzzing around in there. And so when you become more conscious and you are actively choosing how it is you will be in the world and how you will engage in the world, life and all, you're making choices now. And what would happen is the shadows can be shapeshifters. And they can show you things in a different way that unless you are truly consciously vigilant, you may not recognize it to be those old shadows trying to re-engage you. And how do you know that? You feel it. You perceive it. That's your first primary sense. Go through the primary sense of perceiving. That will give you everything that you ever need to know or have to know. Right there. Perceive. Mm-hmm. Perceive. And that means that you can feel it, you can sense it. Your physical body, in your lower self bodies, of the lower self bodies, the emotional body is the one that will be the first lower self body that will respond to that perception. It will be the one that will bring, because that's where all the senses of the lower self are stored, if you will, and it will be felt. Okay, I got that. What's that about? Why am I thinking about that thing 15 years ago? I haven't thought about it, and don't even go there. Just know that something got pinged. Okay. Through the higher perceptual primal self, you know it to be. It is just something. And simply by saying, show me, you will get the guidance to know what it is about, if there's anything to be done or not. It does make life simpler. I'm going to ask you all a question. I'd like to hear what you have to say. What's the difference between simple and easy?
Well, easy might just be like taking the the easy way out in a way, rather than.
Well, you can't. I'm not going to let you use the word in the definition. Sorry.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Well, simple seems effortless, I think. Maybe.
Okay.
On some level.
That's what I thought.
Okay. So, any of you, what's the difference between simple and easy?
When I think of the word simple, I think of something very clear. There's no doubt, about what to do.
Mm-hmm. And easy?
Well, I call Jesus the great simplifier.
Okay, well, certainly one of the greatest teachers, certainly. But what's easy? What's that?
Well, it could mean effortless, but I don't necessarily.
How does it feel, Michael?
Well, that's what I'm not sure of, because I don't always.
When you say, okay, I'm going to ask all of you to do this. Say the word simple. How does it feel? Say the word easy. How does that feel? Say it out loud. Feel it. Simple.
Simple.
Okay.
Simple.
Easy.
Easy just feels smoother.
Easy does?
Yes.
Or simple? Okay.
Easy feels smoother to me.
How about the rest of you?
I was actually feeling the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Remember, there's no right or wrong about this, folks.
No, it's the way we respond to our environment, I think.
No. That goes beyond. It's just.
It's intuition versus laziness to me.
Excellent.
Okay. Yeah.
Excellent. Easy is what the lower self tells you through the story. The easy way to do things may not be the best way to do things, but it's the easy way. It can be lazy because it's easy. Simple is just that. It is clear. There's no convolutions. There's no complications. There's no heaviness. This is the way it is to be done. That's it. It may not be easy if you permit your lower self to throw in the stories, the instruction book, the manual of how to do things. You know that 1,200-page volume of instructions? You really don't understand anyway, but that's the right way to do it. This is the easy way? No. It's not. So, the simple way simply is this. We work with this lots in our ceremonies. Stay on the path, keep going. Stay on the path, keep going. Don't get distracted. Keep going. So simple means that it's been given to you in a very clear, pure form what it is that you are to do. Okay. Focusing all intent in that guidance that you just perceived of what you know to do, that lets go of all distraction. That's what I know. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to work at finding the right thing to do. This is it. And the why I know that it is because I know it is intact. I knew it to be. It is intact. That's simple. So look to this season of light, how people take the intent of what this season is and bring it into such a heavy construct of all the have-to-dos on the things-to-do list. Making that so heavy instead of real simple. Season of light. What's the intent of this season of light, folks? Any of you?
Well, in my mind, is to celebrate God willing to share the human experience.
Okay. Yes. Not the rest of you.
I would say it's really supposed to be joyful, peaceful, all of the positive things that should be happening, but because of us turning the holidays around, and we see a lot of people who want to commit suicide because of what they feel the holiday should be about.
Well, you see, the season of light is to strengthen the canopy of light so that the light within all of us brightens and sparks anew into new pulsing vital life and vital light. And this is why we come together. It isn't about spending a great deal of money on anything. I'll tell you something. I would much rather have someone go outside, be somewhere, and come back with a stone and say, Fran, this is for you. Rather than somebody who wants to spend a lot of money on a gift and give it to me, because the simplicity of that person giving me a stone in the easy way of buying an expensive gift, the stone's going to touch my heart a whole lot more. Because I'll know it's sincere, and I know it's true, and I know it's real. And that's what it's about. So when you're going about your shopping and whatever it is that you do, if you keep this in your heart and give from that place, that's it. You know, the other day or sometime last week, there was some show and there was someone talking about the things to buy this season for gifts. And she was talking about some purse that could be bought for only $750.
Yeah. Which is obscene.
I had to stop myself and say, she really said $750 for a pocketbook?
Yeah.
Wait a minute now. I didn't hear that right. Got to get earwax out of there. And that's what she said. And she was coming about like this was such a wonderful bargain. What's missing out of that is the whole reason why we come together, especially now. Because this is the season of light. Why now? Why not in another part of the year? It's because energetically we feel it. We perceive it. The coming together. That's why. Not because some date on a calendar, but because we feel it. We perceive it. So how can we do this? How do we come together? What do we do? How many of you are willing to do whatever it takes unconditionally to strengthen this canopy of light? to weave in where it has become dim and weakened. What are you willing to do? It can't be through the personal anymore. What suits a person's schedule? What suits that person? It can't be that anymore. That's why the energetic is so heavy now and so dense. And yeah, there's a lot of good going on. Let me just complete this. In that, yes, there is a lot of good going on. Yeah, there are people helping people. There's all sorts of things. I myself am looking very much to get involved in maybe Habitat for Humanity, to getting into helping. You know, I'm very much looking to go to these organizations, the different ones, United Way, Red Cross, Salvation Army, many of them, all of them, and asking and saying, yeah, I would like to work here. I would like to work here. I do want to help people. I'm willing to put in the time. And in that, also coming together in sacred ceremony. We must have it all, folks. We can't separate. The sacred came out of life in many ways. People forgot about it. But without the sacred, it is a bleak landscape. There's no container. The sacred itself is the container. So in every moment, it is sacred. All is sacred. We must bring the sacred back. So what I'm going to have us do is have us travel and have a look at that canopy of light. And this time when we travel, let the guidance come to you of what it is that each and every one of you can do, and not only you alone, but all of us together, coming together, can and must do. So I'm going to ask you to mute the phones, Joseph.
All right. You can go.
Okay. I'm going to ask each and every one of you to center and ground. Center, ground. So, Pisces, we thank you. You who are the sacred ones of light. We ask your guidance to help us now as we fly. Seeing the canopy of light. Seeing the filaments of light continually weaving and reweaving, weaving anew in the infinite colors of the light. Let us all come to know our purpose. Let us all come to know, to see what it is that we, each and every one of us, can do and must do. Helping all of us to come to realize how seriously vital it is that we must come together in the one that we are to get things done, to raise the energetics that have been to the fine, high, deep, energetic vibrations that have come, are here, and continue to come into full and complete energetic and physical manifestation of the light. Go beyond the personal, folks. Each and every one of you is a vessel of light. What is your task? What is your purpose? See how that purpose, that task, must be woven with all the task and purpose of all others, not you alone. See this canopy of light, how bright it is, how solid, how steady it is. And even as we perceive, we see those weakened spots, those dim spots, weaving anew the filaments of light, weaving anew those places into strength. Once again, and even now, as we perceive the canopy of light, each and every one of us sings Moonlight, Moonlight, Moonlight. Open the phones, Joseph. Moonlight, moonlight, moonlight. All of us singing the moonlight, the purest quintessential love. Moonlight, 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 moonlight. Continue to sing, perceiving as the filaments of light continue to weave, strengthening the canopy of light. Moonlight, as you continue to sing, bring your intent that all join in this beautiful song of Moonlight, this pure quintessence love, that all come to know this, that these seeds of Moonlight are planted everywhere within all. Moonlight, moonlight, Ari. What do you perceive? What do you see now, folks? What do you know? What do you see?
I see light movement.
I'm actually, from what we were talking about earlier, beginning to actually sort of feel words like, Muna. I could sort of get a feel for everything I'm saying. And I can definitely feel the intent of that word and the meaning of that word and the energy behind it. And, yeah.
Yes. Munai is a Quechua word. One of the languages of Peru and that of the Inca. It is that of the purest, quintessence love. The highest. This is why the resonance, the vibration is so pure from what you perceive when you even say it, and why you feel it within every fiber of your being. What do you now know as those seeds of Munai have been given forth now? What do you sense right now in this moment of those seeds taking place?
Rebirth.
Yeah. Yes. About the rest of you. Yeah.
I felt it simply purifying.
Yeah, felt very primal to me before words. Very primal, and
the Quechua language is based on the sounds of nature. That's why.
Wow, that's neat.
Yeah,
and joyful
I'm gonna
too.
Say,
I mean, yeah.
Oh yes.
I felt like laughing. I kind of did start laughing.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. I'm going to say a few other Quechua words, and because now that you know that they are primal, that they are based on the sounds of nature, I'm not going to tell you what they mean. I'm going to just say it, and I'd like you to tell me what you perceive as I say them. And those of you who do know what these words mean, because I think there may be a couple of you who do, don't give it away. Okay. Wira. 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 What did you perceive?
Sunlight.
I hear the world.
Okay. Anyone else?
Raindrops? Rain?
Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to give you another one. Quichi. Quichi. What is that? What did you perceive?
Sounds like a bird.
Quichi. Anyone else? Okay, here's one. Yappa. Yeah. Yappa. Anyone?
I had an image of a fox.
Okay. Wira is wind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Quichi is rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
Yappa is lightning.
Mm.
Listen to the word. Remember I said there's sounds of nature. Yappa. You just hear the lightning in that?
Mm.
Mm. Yeah, you see, with Quechua, you have to perceive. Because it is sounds of nature. The mental body's linguistic bank has to be turned off. Very much so. Okay, I know we're getting close to the completion already, believe it or not. But we are. What do you know now that's essential to bring forth in this season of light and to offer to others so that they can come to know?
Well, I just feel to, bring people together more so than, happened with me in my life in Thanksgiving. A lot of my family wasn't there. So, definitely I want to, bring the family together and just go from there, really.
Okay.
To me, it's about honoring where people are.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking with a lady today who's trying to help a friend who has a number of crises in her families, and I said, and like a lot of what we were talking about today, about being present to the person and just hearing them and, being supportive.
And remember that you can always bring in something of the non-ordinary into the most ordinary mainstream work. There's always a way to do it. Mm-hmm. If it is that you are perceiving through your higher perceptual primal self, and that guidance can be given in a way and in a form that that person who may not be conscious or awake will get and be able to utilize in his or her everyday life. Mm-hmm. And it can be simply breathing.
Sure.
I will often say to people, how often do you breathe?
Mm-hmm.
But when
I thought I was doing that right now.
But no, what they do is they usually grin and say, you know what? I don't breathe right. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. So paying attention to that.
Mm.
What I'd like to do to bring our call to a completion is to bring forth a song. If any of you know it, please join in, because this will help all, assist all to go higher into that purest, highest resonance, so that all the heaviness and the running around in the lower self chatter and anxieties and worries and all that people are diving into in this season, that in this way we can assist by bringing it higher out of that. So if you know the song, just join in. But let us go with this. I fly like an eagle, flying so high, circling the universe on wings of pure light. Oh, Wichita, Wichita, yo. Oh, Wichita, Wichita, yo. We all fly like eagles, flying so high, circling the universe on wings of pure love. Oh, Wichita, Wichita, yo. Oh, Wichita, Wichita, yo. I fly like an eagle, flying so high, circling the universe on wings of pure light. Oh, Wichita, Wichita, yo. Oh, Wichita, Wichita, yo. We all fly like eagles, flying so high, circling the universe on wings of pure love. Oh, Wichita, Wichita, yo. Oh, Wichita, Wichita, yo. I fly like an eagle, flying so high, circling the universe on wings of pure light. Oh, Wichita, Wichita, yo. Oh, Wichita, Wichita, yo. We all fly like eagles, flying so high, circling the universe on wings of pure love. Oh, Wichita, Wichita, yo. Oh, Wichita, Wichita, yo. Oh, Wichita, Wichita, yo. Oh. Thank you all, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fran.
See you
Thanks,
next week.
everybody.
Okay.
You know,
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
See you next week.
good night.
Good night.